Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hello, and welcome to December 17th, 2021. My name is Shelley Overton. I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I want to welcome you to the podcast this week. We are just kind of going to go over what's coming up for the week. I'm sure I'll go off on a tangent, but quite honestly, this is kind of tucking in the podcast between other busy life events. So I'm going to try and get as much into this as I can as far as information. And I apologize if it's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but I've got family coming in today, and I just want to make sure you guys had something to find out about. Okay, so let's just look at what's going on today. 17th, Friday. We have the moon in Gemini, and it actually looks pretty good overall, even though, well, Chiron's being aspected by the moon, but it's a sextile, which is my favorite aspect, honestly, 60 degrees apart. So Chiron is in Aries, and that means that we are dealing with woundings centered around aggression, assertiveness, masculine energy, drive, marketing, self-interest, all of those kind of things. Moon in Gemini can also be, pardon me, Gemini, but maybe you know it's true. It's dualistic, but it can be a bit self-serving at times. And so it's going to be an interesting energy today. It's a little bit strong sense of self, which actually is pretty good overall, because it means that we're more focused in on what's important to us. And going into the Aquarius age, that's going to be really important, and not in a negative, self-absorbed way, but more in a sense of, I know who I am. I'm very grounded in who I am. And now I'm going to move forward and own my space and not blame everyone else when things don't go right. And it means that we're going to be really aware of our communications, especially with Moon in Gemini. Pay attention to what people say to you and what you say. I've been really aware the last couple of days of my language in the car, and I find that I, over the years, developed the use of language to express, probably not good language, to express this stress and frustration I have in driving. And I live in Orlando, so you know it's pretty busy. This year our city expands to a huge quantity of tourists and out-of-towners, and you can tell it starts right about a week before Thanksgiving and really doesn't let up until the beginning of January. So it's like the roads have, you know, twice as many people on them. It gets a little bit stressful. Saturday is a full moon, 27 degrees Gemini. Make sure it's the right year, 2021. I'm a little foggy. I've been working all day and I'm really tired. So I'm giving it my all here to be with you. So the full moon in Gemini is the culmination. Full moons are always a culmination of energy. It is where we do communicate. We try to understand information. We integrate our thoughts, and we are very logical, very analytical. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, so of course Moon is answering to Mercury right now. And I'm sitting here, I can't believe I don't even have a chart to look at. I'm just looking at my ephemeris. Give me a second and I will get a chart to look at. Okay, we're on board now. So Mercury is in 6 degrees of Capricorn right now. So if the moon, or excuse me, Mercury is at 6, the sun obviously is opposite moon. So the sun is at 26 of Sagittarius, which is right on my south node. That'll be interesting. It's actually a very good time of year for me financially, so really enjoying that actually. The moon at 11 degrees of Gemini, and so because it's Gemini, it answers to Mercury in Capricorn, and of course we know Mercury in Capricorn is also in the same sign as Venus and Pluto, and so it is the energy of being literal, which is kind of an uncomfortable energy for the moon in Gemini right now because they are inconjunct, which means 150 degrees apart, not exactly opposite, but 30 degrees less than opposite. And that's kind of a friction building aspect. It means Gemini, it expresses through this constant movement of energy and information's coming in. It's a lot like Aquarius. They are both air signs. Aquarius rules multiples and Gemini rules duality and two duos. But there is kind of a similar energy that's electrical or thought provoking is coming in, and it can be difficult to really integrate so much information very rapidly. And just pause. So the energy of Capricorn is very literal, like I said, and grounded. It wants to know it's reliable, whatever's being said. So Mercury in Capricorn is going to give that energy to the planet of Mercury, and Mercury, you know, it rules Gemini, it rules Virgo. So if you're a Gemini or a Virgo, you're going to feel this. I'm not going to mention right here. I'm probably not going to do too much editing on this video, so you'll get all the little quirks and eccentricities that I have. So Moon in Gemini for the next couple days, and you'll probably still see this under the Moon in Gemini because I'm going to try and get it out tonight or tomorrow morning. That means that's going to be a full moon as we get to what degree 11:36 p.m. and 8:36 p.m. Pacific. So it's Eastern 11:36 p.m. and 8:36 p.m. Pacific, and then the moon is 27 degrees Gemini. So the sun is 27 degrees of Sagittarius. That's Saturday night. And we are going to have that bright, shiny moon because it's an air sign. So it's probably going to be a really lovely, clear night most places, and at least in the US, I'm going to say. I know we just had this weather event last week with the tornadoes going through the US, and I was like, wait a minute, I said something about that on my podcast. I said there's going to be enormous winds and hurricanes and some kind of wind event. And I guess that's what it was. So I'm interjecting it here because it is an air sign of Gemini. It isn't that I'm saying there's going to be another one, but remember we have Saturn at 10 degrees of Aquarius and Jupiter at 27 of Aquarius also. And so when you have the triggering of some of that energy, you definitely can see these events. Mercury on Saturn in Aquarius and Mercury in Jupiter for sure can bring in some of that same kind of weather. I definitely look to Uranus and Mercury for weather. Also the moon. The moon could definitely play into that. I'm just looking to see where Mercury is by the end of the year. It's still in the middle of Capricorn. Getting my other ephemeris, my 2022 ephemeris, and my glasses because vision. And we have, let's see, Aquarius, Mercury is the 3rd of January through, and it retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades in Aquarius. Who knew? And then it goes back into Capricorn to 24 degrees. So we are going to be in a shadow of Mercury at the end of the year as well. That will be right around the 28th of December. So look forward to that. We're going to have Capricorn shadow period, and then the Mercury energy in Aquarius early January, so January 3rd. Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter I think will be in Pisces by then. Yeah, Jupiter's at 0 Pisces on the 3rd. So it's going to be windy and wet. Matter of fact, I look for the beginning of the year because I said that, because of what's going on, not only the retrograde, but the retrograde in an air sign, which is wind and inclement weather on a larger scale affecting the masses because it's Aquarius. Excuse me, what did I say? Mercury. Mercury is localized weather, excuse me. But then when it goes back into Aquarius, which is going to be, oh yeah, the 3rd, I said that. Like I said, my mind. The 3rd is going to be Aquarius, and then you have Jupiter in Pisces, which is going to be water and snow. And then you have Saturn in Aquarius, which is going to be also the inclement weather. And because you're going, let's see, it's going to be Jupiter is going to be hit. What's going to be hit? Let's see, Mercury retrograde, Capricorn, late degrees, early Aquarius. and Saturn will be at 11. So yeah, Mercury it gets to 10 degrees before it retrogrades. So we're going to have Mercury right on Saturn as it retrogrades. So yeah, that's going to be the 13th, roughly. I'm eyeballing a table. So it's around the 13th of January. We're going to have Mercury retrograde. I don't know, you probably aren't even understanding anything I'm saying. I barely am keeping up with what I'm saying. Yeah, Mercury retrograde on the 13th of January, and we're in the shadow period late December in Capricorn. So that's what I'm saying. So much Capricorn, so much Aquarius, so much Pisces. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is this full moon is triggering the thoughts, the words, especially with the ruling planet of the moon in Gemini being in conjunct to it. That's going to be big words being said that are difficult or full of friction. You're going to have potential fights tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, Saturday. That's tomorrow. Oh my gosh. I don't have enough time to do everything I have to do. Yeah, and then Mars right now is in early Sagittarius, which is really good. It's good for drive, good for activity, and good for keeping busy. It's also good for socializing, having fun, doing playful things, having a pickup game of football or basketball during the holidays. Really good for that. I've been thinking, and I didn't even connect it. Well, I didn't. I connected Sagittarius to horses because I've been thinking a lot about horses lately. I've been thinking, wow, I haven't ridden a horse in a while. I really enjoy the culture of horseback riding. And then definitely having the sun there in Sagittarius and now Mars in Sagittarius, that makes a lot of sense for why I'm interested in horses again right now, because it's a centaur, it's half horse, half man. And so our mind is on that kind of activity. Horse racing, I was looking at some horse in California. I think it was, I want to say this, I hope I'm not mistaken, but I think it was the horse that won the Kentucky Derby this year. And he had some issues going on. I don't know if they put him down. I want to say he might have broken his leg. So I don't know if he survived that, but in California. So I think that horse racing, because I live here in Florida, highlight is an activity, a gambling activity here. We have casino gambling here with the Native American tribes, the Seminole Indians, and we also have dog racing. And I know that some of those are closing down in the state because of the animal connectedness to dog racing and their health and welfare. So I think they're definitely treating horses badly in the horse racing world. Yes, there are many horses that get treated very well, but there are also a lot that just get run for the lesser races. And so I think at some point in the near future, we're probably going to have that as a subject and a topic in our discussion and discourse to really evaluate whether or not we want to continue to have horse racing in this country. And I know I watched the Kentucky Derby. There's definitely a lot of pomp and circumstance associated with that. But unless they do something for the horses on some broader level, you know, we're all animal lovers on some level. I think the majority of people really resonate to animals. They're loving, unconditionally loving. And I'm really thinking that we're awakening to the plight of a lot of behavior that we have towards animals. So I think that that's more pointed in the horse industry right now. So I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's get back to what I was talking about, going day by day here. Yes, so we've got Venus retrograding on Sunday at 5:36 a.m. Eastern, 2:36 a.m. Pacific, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 10:36 a.m. for England, GMT. I think they're five hours later than America, the Eastern time zone. And then almost immediately after, in astrological time, Chiron goes direct the same day as Venus retrograding, quite literally the very next aspect that happens. So Venus retrograde, I mentioned this last week, I'll talk a little again. Venus retrogrades in Capricorn. She wants us to learn the lessons around women, around how we change our attitudes towards women and feminine energy. And Pluto is the planet that she most interacts with during this retrograde, and Pluto has major life changes. Pluto is where we will change our lives, wherever it falls in our charts. That's the house that we have huge shifts of life. We will end one way of being and go to another. It can be very dramatic. It can be Plutonian, which means a bomb can go off energetically in our lives. And I was thinking about this a week or two ago, that I wanted to explain the energy of Pluto a little bit to you, because it rules Scorpio. I have a ton of Scorpio in my chart, and it's an interesting planet to interact with in your personal chart. So wherever Pluto falls in your chart, look to that area of your life to be dramatic, to be, and it's funny because Leo is a very dramatic sign, but Leo likes drama for attention, whereas Scorpio is very black and white in their thinking, which of course black and white is high contrast. And so you get that high contrast with Scorpio. And then as planets, or even just the transit of Pluto goes through a part of your chart, you will get much more black and white in your thinking. You will dig deep in your life, in your soul, to really resonate with what your truth is. And then you express it out, and you can't be very dogmatic about that. Now, the fact that Pluto's in Capricorn, I would say probably the most dogmatic sign of the zodiac, in my opinion. Pluto is a very dogmatic planet. It doesn't give up on, once it recognizes what it deems to be of value, it discards what is of no value or lesser value and says, okay, this has the highest value, and then moves forward with that ideology. And so that ideology is good and truthful, and a lot of times Scorpios just see right through the BS to the heart of the matter, and that's really their superpower, and they can really embrace what path to go on. They're great problem solvers and solution seekers, but at some point, like everything in our world, it moves and shifts, and the energies shift, which means that this is true for this timeline, but if it's not serving you, if it makes you upset, or not even upset, because that's really kind of shallow, if it makes you suffer, holding a belief system longer than it's really still, like, let's just say it's beyond its expiration date. I've been dealing with expiration dates a lot today. So, Pluto going into Aquarius, that's kind of the end of that dogma cycle. Whatever you recognize as a truth in your life, maybe even from 2007, 2008, when Pluto went into Capricorn, that's the end of the cycle. So in the next year, we're really looking to wrap up the old story of, this is how I see me, this is how I see my environment, this is how I integrate with other people in the world, how I see, you name it, how I see buying things, purchasing investments, treating people nice, whatever the topic. This is my story, and I believe this about X. As Pluto, major life changes come in, and the new energy comes in, we have a new reality and new awareness that's expanding thanks to Jupiter. Quite honestly, went in, within the last year and opened up the whole energy of Aquarius on a very broad scale. We have cryptocurrency. I think there's more technological spying on us. I was just talking to someone, and I may have said this last week or maybe not, I don't know. But I will tell you, because it will reach a few people talking to you. When you give your information on a phone call, over your phone, if you have voice turned on for Alexa or for Instagram or Facebook, they're listening. So if you're talking to your bank, which I did this week, and Alexa was on, although she's dead now, maybe I killed her. If your technology is hearing you for the commands you give it, they're listening to your passwords, they're listening to your private information. It is going into their database. So if you're talking to the bank, be careful about talking about passwords. I know they don't generally ask for those, but even to get into my account with the bank, I had to give some bit of information about myself to get them to know I was me. So people aren't really recognizing that this is a very big thing now. Our privacy is being sold, basically straight up sold. And as Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn and all other planets go into Aquarius, we are going to have the storyline around technology, but Saturn specifically, by the end of his time in Aquarius, he's looking to set up the rules. That's what Saturn does. He sets up the rules and the structure of the modality, and the modality is technology, science, information. It's information age. Tesla, rockets going out into the atmosphere, science of space, all of it. Aquarius, there's just like, to me, Aquarius just represents so much of our world and our minds and what we interact with on a broader scale. As Pluto dramatically enters Aquarius, and we will be feeling it throughout 22 and into 23, specifically March 22nd, 23 is, I believe, the day it goes in. I want to say it's the 22nd in the 23rd year. So yeah, 32223, very interesting. Numbers. Anyway, the angels are definitely here because my nose is turning into Rudolph. Okay, let's see what else we got. The full moon, I would say release words. I had interaction with the manager at a grocery store today, deli manager, and she was really snippy with me. She was very crisp, and I went there to get some information, and she was, kind of marching around like I had done something to her because I had talked to her during the lunch rush. But anyway, that Gemini energy can be snippy and condescending in its negative side. And so just be aware of that you're not getting too much of that, and know that, astrology means accepting the positive and negative of every sign. And even if it comes out the negative side of Gemini, which my sister's coming to town as we speak. I think her plane just landed literally 10 minutes ago. She's a Gemini, and so I am directly squaring her. My sun is directly squaring her by sign, which is Virgo. So she and I both have the same ruling planet, but it expresses in a different way. So it is going to be Shelley biting her tongue and just, learning how to be in her Pisces energy. So going into next week, let's see. Oh, and then Chiron direct. I did want to mention that. So I'm going to just read you what I have here. For Saturday, I've got erratic, old story, possibly about a fraud or not telling the truth, seeing the truth, and an old wound. Sunday, when Venus goes retrograde and Chiron goes direct, it's about your mind is going to be changed, or changing mind, like quick turn on your buys or your desires. Just know that if you're buying stuff for the holidays, there is a duality to it. You may end up buying two. Whether you wanted to buy two, you see something, go, oh, I like that, but I like that too, I'm going to get them both. Or you buy something, they don't like it, you go back and get something else. So that's, two times as well. It's good for socializing. Gemini is a really great socializing sign. They're very social creatures and very chatty. So, if you're both Gemini, you're going to get a lot of information exchanged. And then it's also about freedom of ideas and travel, short distance travel for Moon in Gemini, long distance travel for Mars and Sun in Sagittarius, but Jupiter's in Aquarius. And so he's the last degrees. Things may not turn out the way you planned in holiday travel plans, which, yes, there are many years that happens, but this year is going to be a lot of tech issues. I got in my car about an hour ago, and my radio wouldn't come up on the computer screen. It wouldn't go. It's like, I don't know what I did. There was no radio. There was no menu. It would not turn on. So it's going to be rather like that. And it'll be probably the next couple days. And when you're listening to this, that will mean that by the time the moon enters Cancer, which is Monday, Actually, could be late evening. Yeah. No, actually, it's early in the morning. Sunday. My bad. Early morning at 4:42 a.m. Sunday, moon in Cancer, which means Sunday is going to be a day to hang out around the house. Things that pop up for social energy that are really good with Jupiter in Aquarius and Jupiter energy and then moon in Cancer is comedy. Believe it or not, feminine energy in Sagittarius is expressed as comedy. So a lot of funny ladies have a strong Mars in Sag. I think Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell are that generation of strong Sagittarius energy in their chart. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. I think we've got, watch tech. That's what I wrote to myself before I even saw this. I mean, I write these informational notations early in the year or earlier in this year. And it says watch tech, accidents, breakage, roads, bones, and buildings. So what's happening on Monday is moon's opposite Mercury in Capricorn. We've got an inconjunct with Saturn in the moon. We've got a sextile with Uranus and the moon in Cancer. So even though it's positive, I just have this vision of my Cancer mother going, I can't run this thing. I don't know how to do this. So it's going to be a heightened tech day on Monday. So if you're not as good with technology, I just had lunch yesterday with a friend, she's 74, and she's like, I just don't do computers well. I'm like, it's tough for that generation. I was literally at the beginning, I was around 20, 22, somewhere in there when computers really took off. So I kind of grew up with it. And I have a lot of Aquarius energy in my chart. Uranus is right near my sun. It's in the sign of Aquarius for Virgo planets in Aquarius. So my mind works really well with that kind of energy, with Aquarian energy and technology. It's actually my happy place on a lot of levels, art and technology, but astrology is ruled by Aquarius as well. So if you are interested in if you're interested in astrology, Aquarius is really big, and I find that Virgo as well, maybe even Gemini, but the earth energy of Virgo, you tend to be more open to that kind of, hey, I wonder what would be if, or making logical connections to things. Okay. And the material world, like the system of planets, logic around systems and cycles. Okay, the winter solstice. Oh my gosh, seriously, I didn't even think of this. Winter solstice is next Tuesday, the 21st. And so the sun enters Capricorn, and that's 10:59 a.m. and 7:59 a.m. Pacific. And I'll let you do the math, probably 4:59, 3:59 in England. So we've got the moon opposite Pluto that day, moon opposite Venus that day, sun entering Capricorn, which then becomes the another cluster in Capricorn as we look to this last week of the year, last 10 days of the year. And then there's an inconjunct between the moon and Jupiter, and the inconjunct with the moon and Jupiter, of course, Jupiter and Aquarius, again, technology. So what I see with the sextile between the moon and Uranus, and again, there's a trine between Mercury and Aquarius. I'm just going to say it right now. I didn't even see this. The Mercury trine with Uranus, there's going to be a big, mass event associated with weather, wind, and technology. That can be tornadoes, outages. I would say maybe even a blown over cell tower. Probably not. That would take a tremendous amount of wind to do that. But, something that associates education, wind, weather, and technology. Could be any one of them, but it's going to be another event on Monday. It's very similar to a Mercury retrograde energy, but maybe with a little bit more punch, unless it's one of the worst ones, one of the more difficult ones. So just know that's coming on Monday. And then because I said that there was a Uranus to moon in Cancer sextile on Monday, that's kind of a heads up to like, hey, there's an emotional thing. What is it that you're getting triggered by that's technology, science, expansion, computers, whatever it is, you're going to end up having to deal with it more directly on Tuesday on the winter solstice, because the moon will in conjunct Jupiter at last degrees of Aquarius. So that is the expansion of the end degrees, the expansion of, and kind of like that transitional energy. I have a member of my family who is, I think I mentioned it, my aunt, is in the last bits of a health crisis that's terminal. And I just think that that's probably a difficult aspect for her. And that's just what flashed in my mind. But I can tell you on Tuesday, there's going to be something more significant because the sun in Capricorn makes the reality, the material world of that event come to fruition and manifest. I'm not talking about my personal life, but just like in your life, whatever you're dealing with, that was that late energy. And remember, the sun is going to be joined up with, let me see. Yeah, the sun's in Sagittarius, so it's going to join up with Mercury. And then it's going to have some strong energy of the moon in conjunct to Jupiter at late degrees Aquarius. So we're really dealing with the Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius part, the quarter of the sky that houses them. And I'm going to take this moment. I am on Instagram, and what I do weekly and daily, for not always every day, but definitely frequently throughout the week, is post astrology for the time. And I have this app called Big Sky, and it shows you kind of a graphic version of real-time stars and planets. And I really like to post that. So right now I've taken to alternating between a chart and what's going on with the chart. And I always tell you what the interpretation is of what I'm showing you. And then over on the Big Sky app and that information, I also discuss what that means. So if you're interested in getting more of a running discourse on astrology in the time, go to Instagram, look up Angelic Zodiac, and that's where I have all of this information there too. One's Angelic Zodiac 1, because I couldn't log into my old one, which is just Angelic Zodiac, and then I found that information. So I have two, but I'm mostly and almost always just Angelic Zodiac. That's the main one I use. I'm phasing out the other one, but the majority of the people who follow me on the other one. Follow me on Angelic Zodiac. Don't follow me on Angelic Zodiac 1. They're both me. I post on just Angelic Zodiac. Okay. On the winter solstice, don't know if that'll go out either, but we'll see. The winter solstice, the 21st. So that happens at 10:59 a.m. Eastern. And then right after, the moon is in conjunct to Jupiter. Jupiter's transformation, transition, any trans word is Jupiter. And then the moon is deeply emotional, sentimental, and needs security. Jupiter ain't giving that girl security on Monday. But the sun is also helping to show the direction because it's early degrees. And I would say right like January 19th, 20th, that's going to be another time of major shift as the sun moves into Aquarius. So you've got from Tuesday through the 19th of January, that's your cycle of Capricorn, of stability, of structure, of rooting in and knowing more the A, B, C, D, E of what you're going to do in the future in the coming year. We are moving to the Aquarian age very rapidly because Aquarius is very quick-minded and quick energy. So while we still have a bit of the Capricorn cogitation, consideration, awareness, take advantage of getting things set more materialized in that energy. And then we have Wednesday, which is moon opposite Saturn in Aquarius, moon in Leo opposite Saturn, moon in Leo squaring Uranus, and also in conjunct to Mercury. So it's going to be, I mean, I just don't know how I can not say something, but this week, last year, I lost my brother-in-law and his parents passed the same week. So my sister coming to town this week is rather difficult, and it's going to be a difficult day. It's the 22nd is a lot of friction and oppositions. So it's about children, it's about connecting to family and connecting to children, but it's also about a release with Saturn and Aquarius, because Saturn is the physical world structure and Aquarius wants to let go of things. It detaches. It's really good with emotional detachment. So there is a storyline about what are we detaching from. I know it brings to mind my son, who is a Leo, my father, who is a Leo. My son is actually going to be moving back to the city, which I'm very excited about. And Saturn in Aquarius is setting up the stages for getting cryptocurrency and technology on a system. You know, Bezos and Gates and all the other billionaires associated with tech. That's a very strong energy that's going to challenge them. It is a certain amount about ego. I don't know how much we're going to hear on the news, but you know, there's definitely some puffery going on with the moon in Leo. Moon in Leo wants to be right. It wants to be in charge, and Aquarius energy does not want to be told what to do. So it's going to be really interesting, because that Saturn in Aquarius is really trying to rein in technology, science, and things that expand us. If we can look at Saturn as doing us a service so that they don't get out of control when, you know, all the energy is released to the free market, that would be really helpful. The moon squaring Uranus is going to be, you know, the little child in us is going to stomp our feet and say, no, you've got to listen to me. It's about what I want. I'm in charge here. And it's going to be kind of a face-off, because on that very day, Moon is opposing Saturn, but also squaring Uranus and Taurus. And so not only is the sign of Uranus the ruler of Aquarius, which opposes the moon in Leo, but Uranus is in Taurus, which squares the sign of Leo. So it is a strong friction day coming up the middle of this coming week. And then the next day, Thursday, has a bunch of inconjuncts between the moon and Neptune, Pluto, and Venus. So Neptune, Pluto, Venus, again, making changes. Venus will be retrograde by then. Going back to your heart's desire, making the adjustments, the retrograde, we can redo our desires. And Neptune is, I believe, direct at this time. Let's give it a double check real quick. Oh my goodness. It's so sad. My books are so nice and pristine and clean at the beginning of the year. Just so well used and loved by the end. Yeah, Neptune went direct the last day of November. So she is, I'm going to say Neptune. Well, Neptune's the god of the seas. So I don't know. I might just regender Neptune to be feminine, because it is very receptive feminine energy, rules the feminine sign of Pisces. But anyway, remember, Neptune, Pisces energy is going to be about emotions, dreams, drowsiness, sleep, spirits, and the powers that be are trying to talk to us, and they talk to us in our sleep. So pay attention to your dreams. If you think you never dream, you're wrong, because it's proven we all dream. If you can't remember your dreams, write a journal, set the intention, and I guarantee you, you will start to remember your dreams, even if you don't think you do have any. Okay. I think that's going to be it for now with the full moon. Get out, enjoy it. It should be active mentally and physically. I think it's going to be really social, and I think the skies are going to be clear and we'll get to see it. And just let's all show it some appreciation for being the bright, beautiful girl that she is. Okay, that's all. I won't talk to you. Let me see, December 17th. Yeah, next week is Christmas. So I may do like an early week podcast. I do have some time off. Or I may just do like a replay and get ready for the upcoming New Year podcast, where I talk about what to expect in the upcoming year. So either I'll do that next week or it'll be the week after. I'm not sure which yet at this point, but I tend to be a little proactive. So I don't know, stay in tune and check out my YouTube channel. You're going to be seeing this on my YouTube channel. And of course, it shifted again. This always does that. I don't know why it does that. Shifted again. And anyway, my YouTube channel, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next week and possibly the week after, but soon. And we'll talk about what's coming up. Okay, thanks. Take care. Bye. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa. And I think Hanukkah's over. Anyway, bye. Take care.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.